everyone, bringing you a video today, which was again filmed at the Airborne Assault Museum. And I was given the very unusual opportunity, the very rare opportunity to look at a very strange piece of British uniform history. And this is an officer's service dress custom made for Lieutenant General Frederick Boy Browning, who you can see here wearing much more typical battle dress uniform from the Second World War period, when he was still a Major General commanding 1st Airborne Division. Unlike battle dress, the officer's service dress we're going to look at is anything but standard. It was tailored for Browning, and it seems to fit in with his aim of creating an identity for Britain's airborne forces, which is something we've talked about previously in the Airborne Beret video, talking about the origins of that and the significance of it. It seems to fit in with Browning's ideas regarding creating a visual identity, and one of these elements, which was not actually introduced, is the officer's service dress. Nevertheless, he had one made for himself and wore it. So it's unusual from that point of view, and we'll get into looking at it in a little bit more detail now. So to be absolutely clear on one point, we are being carefully supervised by museum staff here. This is General Browning's original officer's service dress, or airborne officer's service dress, which he had made as sort of as an experiment of an officer's service dress uniform for airborne forces. And it's one of a kind. It's a great privilege to be able to have a close look at this and talk about it. And it's based on a Great War Royal Flying Corps uniform, the maternity tunic as it was known. 1913 pattern, which has the sort of lancer front to it here. Now we have a zip here and obviously hooks and eyes at the collar, so it's a closed collar uniform as opposed to officer service dress being worn open with a shirt and tie. Here you can see the unusual design of collar of this uniform worn open, with the zip pulled down and the hooks and eyes undone. And this gives an effect more akin to battle dress uniform when worn open with a shirt and tie than normal service dress, which obviously has a proper notched lapel. Battle dress, of course, designed to close up to the collar, so you have the standard full collar, hooks and eyes and so forth, essentially the same as we see on this service dress. So quite an unusual blending of elements of the two uniforms around the collar here. But it can be worn like this closed, there are hooks and eyes. And then this also actually has, if we just peel this back here, there is a series of buttons, concealed buttons, all the way down the side here. If we just take the zip down here very, very gently, you can see that the lapel is held down here by a single press stud, just underneath, stitched underneath there, and then there's a button here and a button here. So quite interesting construction from that point of view. Put that back on there, and up again. There we are. And then obviously a waist belt here with a chrome buckle, single prong chrome buckle, two hip pockets there. We just turn it round. We'll just have a look at the details. We'll turn him around, pivot him on his. There we go. If we turn him right round here, you can see the back, the construction. Obviously twin vents in the skirts there. Cuff detail here, the single button opening cuff. Concealed buttons on the cuff there, as you can see. You can see here some details of the insignia on this service dress, and you can see embroidered crossed baton and sword, and the crown on the epaulette here, showing the rank of Lieutenant General. On the breast, the Army flying badge is worn, and of course we have Browning's General Officer's gorgets on the collar. Here we can see some further photographs of Browning wearing this uniform. It's interesting in that officer's service dress by this point in the war was really a sort of a smart working uniform, if you will. It was no longer really being worn in the field to any degree, and battle dress had taken over in that regard. But it seems that Browning did intend to wear this officer's service dress in the field, and this is exemplified here by the fact that he is wearing gaiters or anklets with this uniform, which is unusual for service dress. It's not commonly seen. So it does appear that Browning viewed this as a uniform that would be worn in the field. This uniform was in fact unusual and I suppose iconic enough to have made its way into the 1977 film A Bridge Too Far, and Browning, portrayed by Dirk Bogarde, is seen in several scenes wearing this uniform, and the costume department did a pretty good job of replicating it, I have to say. So there we are. I have to say it was a great privilege to be able to have a look at this uniform in more detail. It's a one-off item, so looking at it under glass, you don't get a full appreciation of the construction and the fastenings and so forth, the full detail of the uniform, and it was very interesting to be able to have a look at that. And as I say, because it's a one-off item, there is nowhere else you can look at one, and it's an interesting piece of airborne forces history from that point of view. Obviously not actually pursued regards other officers using it. It wasn't taken up as a standard piece of airborne uniform, but nevertheless interesting part of the history of creating an identity for Britain's airborne forces. And again, a massive thank you to John, the curator, for allowing us to take the uniform out of the cabinet and have a look at it in detail. I do hope you found that interesting, as I always say. If you have, and you'd like to see more of this sort of thing, then please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And whether you're new to subscribing or you've already subscribed, please do make sure you've hit the little bell, the little notification button down below, which of course will alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you'd like to support the channel, you can. There's both a PayPal and a Patreon link down below, and a massive thank you as ever to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It really is greatly appreciated. There's also a Facebook and an Instagram page as well, if you want to keep up with the channel on social media, and Twitter as well, of course, all linked down below. If you want to make contact but you don't really use social media, there is an email address as well. That's also linked down below. But I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. So until next time, bye for now.